Now I'm going to set up the recording. Okay. All right. So, how are you today, Batool?
Yeah, I'm just fine. Thank you so much.
Good.
From tomorrow, Ramadan is also starting, so just running here and doing errands.
Yeah, do you have to do a lot to prepare?
Yeah, we fast in Ramadan, so we have to wake up at midnight, like just before the dawn. We do the sehri, means eating, and then after that we don't eat till the sun sets.
Yes, I've
So
heard of that.
yeah, so these things.
Just like water or something?
No, not even water. Not even water.
Not even water? Oh,
No,
wow.
not even. That's why we realize the thirst of the poor people. How do they face? And but those people who cannot are sick due to some reason, so they are given this exemption that they might do or they might not do, like
Okay.
related with health issue, obviously. So, and those who can, they do that. So, like
Right.
that.
Right.
So, what are we doing today?
Um, well, I had set up to look through the 108 tools, skills, and strategies.
Mhm.
But if you have anything in mind you would like to look at, we can do that.
Yeah, sure.
Otherwise, I'll do the other. I could start with the little slideshow that for for somebody that doesn't know about the one rule yet,
Sure.
and then I'll be back and we'll see what
Sure,
happens.
sure.
Oh wait, I have to share the screen. Okay, I'm gonna screen share.
Yeah.
So, well, I hope so.
I can't see Miss Karen anything. It's all
I know
dark black.
I can't either.
Okay.
It's the same
Okay.
thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, maybe we'll
Maybe
have.
restart.
Ah,
Reopen.
do you see now?
Yeah. I can see. Yes.
Okay. Welcome to Raising Happy Kids Zoom Show, episode 36. 108 parenting lessons in one simple rule. During this 1 hour Zoom show, I focus on sharing tips and lessons on the one rule to raising happy kids. Each episode has at least one example of the one rule in action, demonstrating how it helps you raise a happy child. Then we have Q&A and discussion. When I talk about raising happy kids or creating harmony with kids, I bring up the one rule. The one rule equals agreement. Agreement equals harmony. Using the one rule means you find agreement. That's the rule. You find a solution that everyone likes. You've found agreement. You've found harmony. Knowing and following the one rule is all you really need to create harmony between you and your kids. In any situation where there are differences that might lead to conflict between you and your kids, use the one rule. I learned this strategy from 3-year-old children. I was teaching them a complex conflict resolution strategy, actually intended for adults, and they taught me this. So don't think you're in for a rough time. It's simple. It's easy. It's powerful and effective. It works if you use it. I'm glad you're here. Now let's have Q&A and discussion. Okay. So, did you think of anything?
Yeah, it's very nice. And I was thinking that how can we tell about the one rule to those who are very new to it? How will we introduce that to them? Like so far, how much we have experience about it.
Right. Well, it needs to be for people that want to create harmony with kids, that want to have a good time with them. If they don't want to, then they won't do it, you know. So if people want to, then we can tell them that there's this one simple rule that they need to follow, and the result will be the harmony with the kids. Kids really like this approach. They take to it as if it were just a natural thing for them. So there's not really, at least small children do. Um, it's not a big issue with them. Adults are used to being in charge and saying what happens and what doesn't happen. So it's a little different for them. Okay, now I think what I've come to recently is that the most, the most helpful way for people to get started with this is, well, first they might want to be aware, if they aren't, be aware of what they do, how they do relate to their children. But it's not really necessary. So what I've come to recently, because that we had a show where the idea of using the one rule with babies and all the way through 2-year-olds, it came up, and it was so important that I even changed part of the book to include the new information that came on that show. And the more I've been thinking of this, I think it's pretty much what I did without knowing about a one rule. The one rule is pretty recent in my history of creating harmony with kids. I mean, it's been at least over 40 years that I've been doing that. But the one rule's only been around for a few years. So so I would recommend that the first thing the adult does is start thinking of how they can agree with but agree. Okay, one thing that people have to accept with this agreement is that you're agreeing to something that feels good to you, not necessarily the thing you thought of, but something that feels good to you. So everybody that comes to whatever agreement they come to, it's something that feels good to them. And that seems to me like ideas may be more difficult for people to agree on, but I think everybody can agree that something feels good to them, that they can agree with themselves. Yeah, that sounds all right. So I would recommend that they start like just seeing how it's kind of like an exercise, um, seeing how they can agree with what's going on, especially with their children, because that's my primary focus. Um, so let's say a child wants to do a certain thing, and normally the adult would say no, because a lot of adults do automatically say no. Or so instead of doing that, um, you don't have to agree with it right then, um, but use it as an exercise. Uh, even let's say when you see your child doing something that normally you might say not to do it, not something dangerous or anything like that, but just uh, something simple and basic that might happen in life that's not a danger to anybody, but it's just something that adults are used to wanting to be in control about. And start practicing seeing if you can agree with what's going on really, if you look at it really, does it feel okay to you? Because a lot of times people act not out of what really matters to them, but what they think about matters to other people, or what mattered to their mother or father, and not even looking at whether that really matters to them. So this is kind of an exercise in that. Um, it doesn't mean you have to agree with it, because if you don't, you don't. If it doesn't feel good to you, then you don't agree with it. And then if you don't agree with what's going on, like building a fort in one of the main living room, like taking all the cushions and getting blankets and whatever. If that doesn't feel good to you, think about, well, what might make it feel good to me? What could change about this so that I do feel good? Like maybe um, telling the child, this is a lot to put away. Are you going to feel okay putting all this back? Because when you're done, it needs to go back. Um, that might be something that would make somebody, if the child agreed, make uh, the adult feel good about it. Okay, we'll see how this works out. So those are kind of two things. One is practicing do I really feel okay about this? I don't want to, it's kind of changing that automatic no, and changing that I'm in charge, I say how things go. It kind of starts changing that a little bit. Um, and the second part of it is what would have to be different so you could agree to it? Is there something that could be different so you could agree to it, so you would feel comfortable inside yourself about what's going on? If there isn't, of course, then, well, what do I need to have happen? And because what I've discovered is that if something doesn't feel good to someone, there is something else that would satisfy the other person or people involved. And so then you start finding that. Anyway, these are thoughts I've been having very strongly recently, and remembering back, doing a lot of remembering back.
Yeah, that's really very nice. That's very
Huh?
nice. That's really very nice to hear. Like flashback is the memories, making things again, recalling back everything. It's really very nice. For example, Mrs. Karen, those people who newly got married,
Yes.
how can we advise them to start practicing from the very beginning this one rule in their life,
Well,
so
they
that
can,
yeah,
yeah, okay. They are, for one thing, I think it's really important that um, that especially that they understand about what's going to happen when their child's two, and that's far in the future maybe, but when it happens, it's very powerful. And so I would say that they educate themselves about that, um, about what the 2-year-old is going through, because it's really a difficult time for a lot of people and a lot of 2-year-olds, and it's really significant time in terms of how things go in their lives. um, I know that from living it and from all the experience with 2-year-olds that I've had. um, okay, so they could, the 3 steps that I was talking about just now, the how can I find agreement with this, the practices, that they can do that with anything. I mean, it could be done between them. It could be done with any situation that they find themselves in, so that by the time they have children, they are very practiced at finding harmony with their life, really. I mean, because, and as I said in other shows, um, recent ones, but um, people are already using the one rule. They're already, whenever they make a decision that they say, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I want to do, um, to have for breakfast, uh, where I want to go. They find harmony inside themselves. They find agreement. Yeah, this is what I want. Now, if they don't come to the agreement, then they haven't carried the one rule all the way through, because there are times when we find it's hard to make a decision. Um, But anyway, people are already doing that. They're already doing that with other people in their lives too. So, so I would say they could start those three practices: the looking at what's going on with their partner, or some situation in their lives. It could be with anybody, um, or even with themselves, and um, seeing, like, do I, if this situation is going on, do I feel good about it? Is it really okay with me? That's the first practice, first level or layer of practice. And then, well, if they do feel good, then that's it. If they don't, then you go to the next level, which is, well, what would have to change for me to feel good? If this happened, oh yeah, I'd feel better. I'd feel fine about that. If that happened, that's better, but maybe something else. So it's just then you would become um, practiced at that way of looking at things. Um, and actually, it might be I mean, I was thinking, like, because my practice was very much with children, very strongly, with my own children and the children that I worked with. Um, but it wasn't so consciously extended to everyone and all my situations. Um, I think I would have been happy to have the one rule, because that wasn't what I came up with. Even though that's the kind of behavior that I did with children. So if the married couple starts um, uh, between themselves and in other situations in their life, and they know that when they have children, they're going to be doing this, by the time they have children, they can be really skilled at it, skilled at figuring out or knowing what feels good to them, what doesn't. Um, and then apply their skills and their approach to their children when they come, because you can even do it with babies. They will definitely let you know if they're happy about things or not. Um,
There's one thing, Miss Karen, I have heard many times people complaining about their children. Like sometimes they say, we don't get time, we have to look after the kids, we don't get time, we are looking after the kids. Can you hear me clearly, Miss Karen?
yeah,
My voice coming clear?
yeah,
Okay. So there are certain times when like people complain, like we hardly get a time, now we can't take break, we are all on our toes all the time working, our babies like this now, right now they want food, now right now they want this, they are, complaints. So I feel this is not right, especially when in front of the children, mother or the father, they complain, because being a parent is a blessed thing that God has given you children. There are many people who don't have children, they're praying for it. And
right,
secondly, having how many children, that was also your choice, obviously, right? So
right,
either a good family planning should be there, or else then you have one after another and whatever the gaps. So people should, adjust with the circumstances. They must heal it, accept it happily. The more they complain, the more circumstances get worse for them. The
That's
more
true.
they feel, they have some things on their shoulders, and they will take it as a pain rather than taking it as a, you know a beautiful relation that you are getting it into it, and whatever it is. So God has chosen you. God has given you three babies, four babies, let's say five babies, whatever, and you're lucky. Later on, when they grow up, obviously you might be having a good family. So
Right.
whatever. So how should we tell those mothers, and what should we tell them? Because when they complain, they don't even want to listen to it. And then they say it's easy for you to say. It's easy
Right.
for you to say. What
Right.
should I say then?
Okay. What I would recommend for them, one of the reasons that they are feeling this stress is that it is traditional for the adults to take on everything. Now, if some of their children are going to have to be more than babies. Babies take full-time attention. I mean, they take a lot of attention anyway. But once they're two, there are certain things that can be set up that they can do on their own. Like things can be set up for them to do, um, to get something to eat, possibly to get their water, um, or something else to drink. You can set these things up so that, and they will be so happy. I tell you, they are so happy when they get new levels of independence. And one of the things that, um, I think that parents with a number of children, they can set up things. They can tell their children what's going on with them. As long as they're like 3 and older, they can ask for their help. The children can do so much, and they love to do it. I'm not saying every child all the time, but people will find that when they show them how to do certain things, that it will take so much burden off their life. And if they use the one rule, this is going to help too, because all the decisions and the time and the energy it takes to make children do things they don't want to do, that's that's rough. And not only that, but if you're using the one rule with your children and you're showing it to them, you're encouraging them to find things they both agree to or all agree to, you are not going to have fighting in your house either. So much, it frees up so much time and energy for the parent to use the one rule and to arrange things in their house and show the children how to do certain things, um, things that, because older children, if it's done in this way, they love to take care of the younger children and help them out. They, I'm not, maybe all children, as I say, but in general, I would say this is true. And it can even bring that out in children that weren't feeling that way. If the if harmony is what you're going for in the family, and then as you create these situations, things that the kids can do on their own, they can um, that's going to give more time. When part of the decision making things, and because of the one rule, involve the children too, that's going to give more time and energy. And if there's no fighting going on, that's going to give more time and energy. It's just, and then they'll be more open and willing to accept the blessing that this is, instead of just feeling it's a burden, because the burden, if you're always dealing with fighting, if you're always dealing with scolding your kids or punishing them, or all of that, plus you have to make the decisions, and it's just overwhelming. And I can see that. But the other way, with harmony and with helping your kids become more independent, which is it. I mean, from the time they're born, they're moving toward more and more independence, because they are creating themselves as the adults they will become. And as the being, they're creating themselves. So, and independence is a really important part of it. I mean, that's one of the prime motivations for a lot of things that people do, um, as children, for sure. So if the parent can help, if the mom can help, if the dad can help with this process instead of fight it, they are going to have a lot more time and energy, and the time that they do spend with their children is going to feel good. And so what's wrong with that? Feeling good, that's what they want. They want to feel good. And I mean, I don't know these days, with how things are going, but in the past, it was possible to have someone, a family member or a neighbor, participate if necessary. But I think if the parents take on the one rule, it's going to help in a lot of situations. And if they take on helping their children be more independent, that's going to help a lot too. So that's what I would advise for them.
Nice.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, yes. Very nice. Thank you so much, Miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the time passes by, the children grow up, and then the parents they miss this time.
Right.
They really
Exactly.
miss this time that we should have done that, and right now, because now what I have noticed that children are more into gadgets than spending more time in playing with the parents. They're more into iPads or electronic things
Yeah.
in the very early age, which is something not a good effect on a child's mind, I believe,
What?
because that's something which is not a good effect, I believe, on the child's mind. Because, like you said last time, that when the images keep on turning, it's not good for the eyes. I think you said in the show something
Uh-huh.
like that. That so many changes. It's not good for a child to visualize from the very early time, especially. I believe. I think it was your show, in which you told us about it for the newborn babies.
Huh.
So parents, I believe, they must make a routine or discipline rather than complaining, because they should sort out something themselves out, because when the children, they hear these things from their parents' mouth, that my mother is complaining to someone about my activities, or maybe parents are unable to control us, so they are asking other people help or advice, like they're complaining because there's very little issues. My child is not sleeping, that's not a complaint. He's not eating, make something different, give him something healthy. And if it's not necessary that he's not drinking milk, then give him cheese, give him things made up of milk, give him a milk cake or give him cheese, because you want actually calcium and proteins in his body. So you have to find another way that how it can reach. So I believe there should be, workshops that mothers should take related with nutrition and self-controlling, because mothers play a very significant role in self-controlling. Because mostly you don't expect that from fathers, but yes, moms they do. Because the child is more with mom the whole day and
Right.
watching and absorbing. So if this rule one thing, if the mother adopts from the very beginning. So I believe even the newly married couples, if they start practicing this, then the things
Yes.
are going to, be less difficult, I can say, or I can say more easy for them to handle,
Right.
because thick and
They
thins are
will
part of
be.
our life. Yeah, because one
Yeah.
cannot run away from the dark. Like I said last time also, day and night are always there. So we have to keep on traveling. This is how,
Right.
like, what, like, as a traveler, what are we carrying with us to face?
Right.
If it's night, then what are the things we using to give light? What are the accessories we have that we can, access light? And if it's day, then what things are we using to give a shade for ourselves, protecting from the rays of the sun, yeah, whatever. So we have to do our own protection. God has given us a lot of blessings and a lot of things around us. So what I mean is that complaining is basically something which people should stop doing now.
Well, the thing that I think about that is that when you are complaining, you are putting your God-given attention on what you don't want instead of putting it on what you do want. And where you put your attention, you start noticing more and more of that. So, do you really want to have more and more of what you don't want? Or do you want to have more and more of what you do want? I think everybody would want what they do want. So you can, in those terms, you can start seeing the the goodness, the blessing in everything, really, in anything, especially in your children.
And we cannot reach to the level of perfection because we are normal human beings. There will be faults in us, there will be ups
Yeah,
and downs in us. That is something, and everyone cannot have everything they want.
right.
So if people understand this thing and, stop complaining and be more thankful than complaints, giving complaints. So I think that will make their life more easy and more
Yes.
happy and more blessed even.
Yes, because if you think about how you feel when you're complaining, and you think about even in your thoughts, when you think about how you feel when you're glad about something, when you're grateful for it, when you appreciate something like a beautiful sunset, when you think about how you feel, then it's up to you. It's up to each individual how they are spending their time, whether you're thinking about things that, and speaking is even more powerful, about things that you don't feel good about, which are complaints, or do you want to feel like you were saying, how when you're grateful, think of how it feels. It feels really good when you're glad about something. It feels really good when you're appreciating something, like you're so glad about something or appreciating something. It feels good. And so you can choose how you want to spend your moments, your time, how you want it to be for you.
I remember a very interesting story in our like in Islam culture. There was a very famous wise man called Bahlul. His name was Bahlul, and he was called as Bahlul the wise man. So once he was traveling in a ship and he saw a man. He was continuously complaining that look at the water is so deep, look, and he was creating fright in the whole ship. Everyone was, trying to tell him, calm down. He was showing that he's too scared. Finally, when Bahlul saw him, and Bahlul told the captain, throw him in the water. And then people said, what? He's already scared. He said, do as I say, throw him in the water. He threw him in the water, and then he started calling, help, help. Then he said, make uh, help him out and get him back on the ship. So they did that. And when he came, he was quietly sitting in the corner, saying not a single word again. Then people looked at Bahlul and said, that's amazing. Before that, he was, screaming, yelling, and now after he came from the water, he's just quiet. And Bahlul just replied. He said, now he knows the value of his place. Where he was safe. And now he's, realized that where he was, God has given him a safe place. So he was quiet in the ship then. Because this
Ah,
is what happens when we complain something, and when, we don't realize what God has given us to us. And we just complain what we see according to our own perception. We try to find weaknesses in our own self, faults in our own things, rather than being contented and being thankful that yes, because God has given us food, God has given us shelter, God has given us another day to live. It's a big blessing. But what we look forward is these materialistic things, and then we expect. So, and it's not even that all people who are rich are who are wrong people, or people who are poor are right people. It's not like this. It's the one who
right.
works hard, he achieves his goal somehow. And that is something that what is your target? To achieve self-satisfaction, to do something for the world, like right now you are doing with the determination that you want to spread this message of one rule
Yeah,
harmonious. That's your goal. You want to give it to the world,
yeah,
and you're strongly focusing on it. You're working on it to deliver
yes,
the message, and your message is being spread.
yes, it is.
It is, because right now
Yeah,
I'm in a different continent and I am hearing your message. I am attending, I am listening. So, it's all the way your message has gone through, to different
right.
paths.
Yeah,
It is spreading. It is spreading. It's on the Facebook, no matter what medium you are using to spread, but your message is being delivered and it's there for everyone. Really, they can listen to it, they can get advice. So you're giving the world something. So that's your desire, and you feel good about it. Then you feel,
yes,
happy for it. Your
yes,
your your goal is right now not to earn fame or money or something. No, your goal over here is to help people come out of
yes,
their problems, create harmony. Because then you feel, if we ask you some question, you try to explain us, and you go into the depth of it, and then you ask, are you satisfied? Because then you feel good about it. So this is
right.
your way of living. So that's a very beautiful feeling,
Yeah,
and you are getting it because you are working with determination for it, irrespective of the fact how many people are joining or listening. Doesn't matter. You are
right,
doing your job. You are
right.
doing your job.
Nice. Yeah,
So
you're
this,
right.
this is something. So people should think about it. There are ways they can, come out of their problems and complaints. And helping, if you might help others, maybe somehow you will be helped too, in a way
Right,
that you don't know. Because when you try to listen to people, then you find your own things, and then you realize that, like, thank God we have this thing. Thank God this is there.
right. Very
Comparison,
nice.
jealousy, these are some things, if people take out from their lives, they will be very happy and they will be very pleased. That God has given us life, no one can take our lives. God is giving us provision, so no one can take our food, anything from us. Our fate is written by us. So why jealousy? Why fighting? I don't get this at all. Then all these things, and then people start taking tension of whatever it is. So if they work a good relation, or maybe tell themselves rather than even speaking to us or anyone else, just satisfy yourself, do something which makes your inner thing satisfied, which makes you happy.
Right.
Helping a woman cross a road, just giving a smile to a child makes you happy sometimes.
Yes.
In return you get this beautiful smile back sometimes from a child. So something is there, a small deed, a small thinking, positive, gives you a lively feel. So the more they're going to think positive, I believe, the more positivity will come to them. The more negative they are going to think, then that's going to destroy their life.
Yes,
Because
then that negative will come to them too.
true, very true. Because over here you are giving a way, a tool to them. That's one rule. One of the strongest thing which can act as a protection in a family is
Yes.
one rule. And
Yes.
there are many ways you have given through this channel, through over here, through many workshops over here, many sessions, that how can we
I know.
implement it. All the ages you have told, all the groups you have told, and we have spoken about office, we have spoken about schools, we have spoken about many different departments, and we have spoken about different relationships, about one rule. So we are covering a lot of area. You are telling us a lot about it. Even you made some nice stories and you presented
Right.
them also, related to
Right.
bullying, even so many things, ideas, so people can take help from any area they want.
Right.
Everything is in front of them. They can follow your podcast, they can follow your Facebook page, they can follow your website. There are many rich resources for the teachers to learn from there, I believe. Your book is a treasure for them. They read that book, they're going to get a lot of guidance in it, I believe. So many things are here. From this platform, I'm giving this message to everyone, that just
Yes.
spare a little time once in a week. Just think about it. Are you doing fine in your family? Is this one somewhere in your family you can see? If not, then try to find it out. Because what we are saying is just a happy family. In short,
Right.
a harmonious family. Do you find
Yes.
your family in harmony, living in peace, living happily, contented? If not, then try this one rule. That is what is missing in your family.
Yes. It's true.
And when I think when someone convinces themselves, do an agreement, try to go for it. And sometimes I believe silence is also a form of an agreement. Then,
Yes.
like, you don't have words, but you're silent, it means you will agree with them.
Right. Right.
Right, Miss Karen? That sometimes
Yeah.
silence also shows agreement.
Yeah.
Neither yes nor no, but it's showing an agreement, something that, it's in middle.
Right. And one thing that you brought up um, was about people doing things uh, that feel good to them, that make them feel good. So um, I think that's really an important part of it all. In fact, that's another thing that could be added to when you were talking about parents who are complaining, that if they can start paying attention to what they're doing that they like, that does feel good to them, and let that kind of be a nourishment to them, and increase those things if you need more of that in your life. I have this thing I call the giving yourself a timeout. I don't know if you have timeout in your country, but in this country they do, where usually well, always it means that the parent tells the child, you know, I'm going to give you a timeout. That means you're going to be isolated in some way or another and not get to do whatever it was you wanted to do.
Oh,
But my concept is you give yourself a timeout. Like if you're feeling overwhelmed and you figure out how to give yourself a timeout to either meditate a little, or read something, or even singing. Some people love to sing. Well, do it. Sing when you're doing the other things, or in the timeout you could it's you can tell your children, you know, I'm not feeling good about things, I need a timeout. I'm going to sit over here and read a book or meditate, or I'm going to do some exercises, or so I'll tell you when I'm feeling good again. Anyway, that's what, like you were saying, if people do things that are important to them and nourish them, that will give them well, generally better feelings in their life. But I think it's an important part of creating your life in a way that feels good to you, creating your moment by moment time in a way that feels good to you.
yeah, very nice. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking so nicely and sharing so many things. And it was very informative
Thank you
program.
too.
It's my pleasure to be here. I'm honored that I'm learning a lot from you, a lot from you. And
Thank you.
this is a nice idea about timeout. It's a nice idea. Though we don't practice over here in my country, but this is a good thing. Timeout should be there.
Yeah, for
That
yourself. Not,
yeah,
I don't like the idea of somebody telling somebody else that they have to have a timeout. But if it's a practice in the family of everybody gets to choose if they want a timeout, because children could take that on too. Like
and that
I'm I see things aren't going well for me. I'm going to take a little time out and um, you know, do something that feels good to them.
true.
So
That's a very nice thing. So we hope if I'll try my best to join the next show as well, and so we can continue with this thing. I'll try
I
my best.
I would
Remember
like
me in your
that, of
prayers.
course.
Stay blessed and happy, and thank you so much once again.
Yes.
Thank you
Yes.
so much,
Thank
Miss
you.
Karen.
And you too.
Bye bye. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye. You too.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.